So alright, in today's video, I want to talk about this Game Boy / Game Boy Color flash card that I found online. So with that said, I need to state this. This video is not a sponsored video. I found this online on a website called AliExpress for dirt cheap, so I decided to order it on a whim, and it actually turned out to be a pretty good flash card. Another thing I want to mention is I'm sorry about the B-roll. I don't have a capture card for my Game Boy, and I don't really have a Game Boy. As you can see, I got the Game Boy Color, but this flash card is designed to well work in both. So with that said, to cut to the chase, I'm going to make this video as short as possible. We're going to be breaking this down into two sections, the pros and the cons of this flash card. With that said, for the pros, this card came set up and installed with ROMs. And like always, I'll try to back up the main firmware of this flash card, so if you happen to have the same flash card and for whatever reason the SD card gets corrupted, you can download my personal backup and use that. Just know my personal backup will not include the pre-installed ROMs. Now with that said, this flash card will let you play Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. I believe it can even let you play the NES. But with that said, I should mention this, it also came with a ton of hacked ROMs, meaning you can play hacked Game Boy / Game Boy Color ROMs using this flash card. Now I don't have much experience with that. I plan to take off most of the games on my flash card and put all the Yu-Gi-Oh games I have on there, as well as their translations if I can find any available. But with that said, that's enough about the contents of the SD card and what the card can play. Let's get on to some of the pros. First of all, the first pro of this device is, at least with the specific version I have, it uses micro SD and it's a spring-loaded mechanism, meaning on the top of the card I can easily take the SD card out and put it in my computer, put games on and put it back in, all without having to take the Game Boy flash card out of my Game Boy Color. Another cool thing is there's a reset button on this unit. I'm not 100% certain on how this function works, so if you can fill me in, that'd be rather cool. What I believe it's doing is it force unplugs the game card and puts it back in, but I'm probably wrong. But anyway, what that means is when you push the reset button, it essentially spits you back out into the menu, letting you pick a new game. Speaking of the menu, it can be a bit cumbersome, and if you happen to have a lot of games, it may be hard to find the last game you played. However, they thought of this. If you push start, that will immediately start up the last game you were playing. Now with that said, last pro, then we'll get on to the cons. This thing does have a RTC, I believe, or at least a battery for keeping the saves in memory. Now I haven't done much research on what this battery does. It's either one of those two things, and I'll have it up on screen if you wish to know what it's for. But I could tell you this, a lot of cheap flash cards don't come with a battery for both the saves nor for the RTC, so this having it is a positive in my book. Now here comes the part of the video that's going to be rather short, the cons. Now first of all, this flash card feels really brittle. Like if I were to take it in and out of my Game Boy Color enough, it feels like it would probably just shatter on me. Now the reason for why I think it's like this is so that you can easily just undo one screw, take it apart, and replace your battery. But I do kind of wish they used a more higher quality plastic. Besides that, the only other con I have with this card is the LED itself on the card. Now I know it's only momentary, that the LED comes on only when it's flashing a ROM to the internal ROM on the card itself, but does it really need to be as bright as a flashlight? Now what I could foresee is my AA batteries being really low. I don't know this. I start up a ROM, that bright light causes the Game Boy Color to brown out and potentially corrupt my SD card or the ROM itself. Now trust me when I say this, I know my stuff when it comes to LEDs. I've got an LED that will run for like the next 15, probably 20 years on my counter. And with that said, I think they really need a current limiting resistor to limit the brightness of this LED, perhaps even change it from a green LED to a red one. But don't get me wrong, I like the green LED. As long as they can current limit it and make it a little bit dimmer, that would be nice. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this flash card review. If you happen to pick up a Game Boy GB Revision H Pro Plus, god that's a mouthful, I don't think you're gonna regret that decision. If I can find the link where I got my specific one, I will try to link it down below in the description. And speaking of down below in the description, like I said at the start of the video, I'll try to link the firmware to this card as well. But with that said, I'm gonna leave today's video off here now. DTPK signing off. Peace. It will then change the pairing code on the PS3 remote. That is now set up and paired to our Blue Retro. I will include a mock-up of a 360 shell that you can put everything in if you want it.